MiZa is a creative and entrepreneurship warehouse district in the making. You guys are very much seeing us as a blank canvas. If you look around you, you'll see our hoarding and our warehouses building up very quickly. However, we do host these talks of the neighborhood every month so we can engage the community and start intriguing conversations. So if you want to get to know MiZa at all, please find me after the talk and I'm happy to answer any questions. Today's session is a little bit different than our usual talk of the neighborhood. So it's been a panel format for the longest time. However, today we wanted to focus and spotlight one partner to really tell their story. As you can see from behind me, This Is Good. We have the founder and managing director joining us today. They are both award-winning filmmakers. So if you would help me welcome them, because I'm sure they will introduce themselves a lot better than I can. If Ray and Bashir can please join me. So find me after the talk and I will let them lead the rest of the session.
Oh man, hit me. What resistance are you facing right now in what you're trying to create?
Oh, dear Lord. I mean, it's the age-old question, isn't it, for anything that you're trying to create. You're always kind of tuned into the negativity of what's around you. All you're seeing is the obstacles to what you want to ultimately create, what's in your head, this thing that you're seeing that you want to bring to life, and all you can see are the things that are stopping you from making it. Right now, I have a small piece I've been struggling with that I've been trying to make. I have the script. It's animation in Unreal Engine. I have the assets. I have the knowledge, and I sometimes have the time, but for the life of me, I just can't sit down and do it. I don't know if it's because I don't think it's a good idea. I know it's not going anywhere. It's just something inside I need to get out. Is it I already see what the final result is, so I'm too lazy to go through the process? But knowing myself, I'm addicted to the creative process, to the flow state. It's almost zen for me. You're doing these things in the back of your head, using your lizard brain to do the process, and you're just in your mind somewhere else. And from that, something beautiful comes in, but for some reason, it's not beautiful enough for you to fight for, sit down and actually get it done. And I'm sure like in a moment of frustration, I'll just sit down and kick myself in the ass and just sit and do it. What about you?
I feel like my want or my dream, my North Star is trying to find stories that I can deeply connect with and I can help others connect with. I think in a lot of ways there is a sense sometimes, and I worry that it's kind of like a little voice in the head, like it's not out there. Like for me, like the biggest North Star for me is I'm constantly on the lookout for the next story that is waiting to be filmed, that is waiting to be documented, that is waiting to be captured. And I think the resistance is, there's a sense that people maybe don't get it. So there's a sense of like, oh no, I mean, who cares about my story? I'm just really, really busy. You know, I'm in the hustle and the bustle and the just kind of, living and doing that. And I think there's so much pressure in our culture to focus on quick bites. Yalla, let's do it and put it out there. Whereas for me, story is more sacrificial. Like it takes its time. It's like finding a little gem that's hidden in a lot of heap of stuff. It takes a bit of work.
From the people that you talk to, either every day or the people that we talk to while we're filming, why do you feel that they have this sense of devaluing their own story and kind of shrugging it off? When, if you just take the time to talk to them for 2 minutes, you'll find it's rich with a lot of wisdom and experiences and things that you even relate to. Why do people tend to just like, my story's not important?
That's a really great question, because I think, and I will probably make a very general thing. I think there's a generation that grew up on stories and children's books, because you know when we used to read stories to our kids, there's this. They may not understand what's going on, but they have this narrative. There's a narrative. There's something going from here to there, from here to there. And I think, I don't know if it's just this generation or if it's something that's cultural. We're not really raised on story, which is really weird because if anything, oral tradition and story is our thing. So I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just kind of like growing up in survival mode and then forgetting where you come from and then kind of forgetting how you ended up here, and you're kind of like in the middle of doing things. You don't stop to notice. And I feel like as a documentarian, us as documentarians, because of that itch of trying to find something different, there is a sense of like, as soon as you put a camera in front of someone and then they're expecting to be like, all right, I have my messaging and this is what I'm going to start saying. And we start disrupting. We start asking deeper questions. We start asking truer questions. And it completely disrupts what they're about to say. And I feel like maybe it just requires us, and I think this is one of the biggest reasons why This Is Good started. This Is Good started because we wanted to elevate the consciousness of storytelling and to create and build authentic connections so that people can see that good exists.
See, I remember a lot of people that have passed, and what I remember from them is the stories that we had together, or the stories that they told me, or the stories of their lives. Their stories have outlived them. If we keep going down this road, do you feel that our stories, our collective stories, are going to fizzle to the 5-second hook of a video?
I'll leave that answer to you. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, a story is the most powerful thing. It moves people. It stops people. A story with something that relates, a story that's authentic. No matter what the experience, if it's authentic, it will touch people. And that is how you bring things into existence. We all live on a probability curve. What we actually is our shared reality is through the stories that we tell. If we say it, then it becomes heard. Then it becomes an idea. Then it grows into an action. And then the action, and again, becomes a behavior. And that becomes a culture. So it starts with the story itself, and it always will be. I don't know if we're going to end up just being 5-second story people in 50 years. I don't know if stories will have the same weight. But what I do know is nothing has more impact than a story that's authentic, that comes from the soul, from the filmmaker, from the writer, from the artist. If that story is experienced and told through authenticity, it will linger, it will last.
I'm curious to hear from the audience, but I'm also, I would like to extend an invitation.
So I'm seeing people are sitting in different little groups. So what I'd like everybody to do is to look for someone around you that you don't know and introduce yourself. Yep, I know everybody's suddenly shy. Yalla, who's going to lead it?
You don't have to go too far. I'm
Just
sure
around
there's
you.
someone around you. Just really close by.
You two already know each other. Hi, I'm Bashir. Fatma, pleasure. Hi. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, find someone that you might know, but not know too much. Give a quick introduction. 1 second. All right. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick a random question from our What Might Emerge deck of cards. And the person that you met and spoke to, you're going to be sharing just quick few minutes, whether 3 to 5 minutes of your response and 5 minutes of their response. And Bashir is going to pick a random question.
All right. So I know everybody went to their seats. You're going to get back up, go to that person again, and ask them, share a time when a surprising or unplanned outcome led to a better solution. Share a time when a surprising or unplanned outcome, good or bad, led to a better solution.
All right, timer starts now. So it's just a one-sided conversation, one-sided sharing, and the other person is going to listen without interruption.
Share a time when a surprising or unplanned outcome led to a better solution. Storytelling versus content. How do we get back from this? How do we get out of this? No, I mean, what do we say? Maybe a quick segue into like. Okay. Because we're going to ask a new question later. Yeah. All right, you can switch. Yep, you can switch now. The next person can answer the same question.
Share a time when a surprising or unplanned outcome led to a better solution. Okay. Here's a time if you want. I started late, so we're, I think, 10, 15 minutes in. Yes.
All right. I know these conversations can go on for a long time, so maybe we can cut it here. But I want everybody to remember
1 second.
what they said, what they heard, and I see a mix of people who didn't know each other, that big smiles on their faces, some people whose body language was closed, some people who just sat and listened. And you do these stranger activities a lot, but the most important thing about it is it's about being honest. It's about being vulnerable. And these are the essence of what authentic storytelling is. The way you were just curious about someone, even if the question wasn't yours, but it reminded you of something in your head. And you went up to a total stranger, and you were truly, honestly curious about them. And they opened up, and they were vulnerable. That is what authentic storytelling is. We, in our work, come up against a lot of requests from clients where they'll tell us, everybody's heard this, we want a viral video. We want a video that everybody likes, shares, and subscribes. And for us, that's kind of a red flag, but we don't discount it. We still sit with them because obviously when somebody's asking for something like this, they're all out of options. They're looking for help, they're reaching out, they need somebody to help them. So when we sit with them, first thing we do is we don't tell them, here's the proposal, here's the creative idea, here's the best thing that you're ever gonna get. It looks exactly like this 3D video that is 5 seconds long. The first thing we do is we insist that we have a sit down, kind of like a discovery. We call it dating. We're basically dating the client. We sit down and we listen. What happens when we sit down and listen to people?
When we sit down and do this, we kind of come in from a point of there's a difference between content and storytelling. I think we live in a very content is king world, but I believe that storytelling is human. And so, in a lot of ways, we try to have a conversation about, and in a lot of ways, we don't talk about very professional stuff. We end up coming in, a brief comes in, and then this is what they want, and a lot of times the conversation spins. Conversations like questions that people don't usually ask. A lot of times the questions are being asked like, what kind of video do you want? How long do you want it for? Where do you want it to go? Okay, what shot ideas do you have? And this is never the conversation that we have. The conversation that we end up having is asking human questions like the ones that were in the cards. So we don't see clients as clients, we see them as humans. And we see them as humans with wants, with desires, with challenges. And so, in a lot of ways, we sit with the client, and by the end of the conversation, what do we hear them say every single time?
So every single time we finish this discovery meeting with a client, they always come up, stand up, take a deep breath, and say, "Oh God, this is like therapy."
But in a good way. It was like this felt like therapy. But what we end up doing is that we have an understanding that content is quick. It needs to be out. There's a place and that there's a time for that. I feel like the main desire or the main differentiating things between storytelling and content is that there's instant gratification. Storytelling is kind of like a buzzword. I feel like there's a lot of workshops that talks about storytelling, but they never tell a story. Or it's like there's like a formula of you got to have the hook, then you have this, and then you have the call to action or
It's the
something like
template, basically.
that. It's a template, yeah. What else have you bumped up to in other conversations about difference between content and storytelling?
So immediately when somebody says, "I want a video like this," it triggers two things in my head. Number one, do they just want to get something out the door because they just need to get something out the door? Or they have something in their mind, they have a vision, but they don't know how to articulate it. They don't know how to talk to creative people, to creatives, how to execute them. That gap in translation. Because if a client is saying, "I want something emotional," a creative, the first thing they'll do is they'll put the sad violin music and put a little girl crying in the corner, and there's your sad, there's your emotional. But that doesn't have to be that way. But that's how, this is the language barrier. So it falls on us to understand what exactly they're looking for. So the question that we might ask them is, what is something that you tried before and didn't work? What is the biggest issue that you found in dealing with your own comms department? We ask them questions that we feel that they want to be asking themselves, but they just don't for some reason or another.
We invite ourselves into their company and
Yeah,
be like,
it's a bit
we're your
forceful.
department now.
Yeah.
We're your partners. I think the biggest, if I were to say the biggest differentiator between storytelling and content is that I feel like in our storytelling, we have to, I think in a lot of ways, content treats audience like consumers.
And it treats them like they're dumb.
Yeah. It's like, let's dumb it down as much as possible so they can get it. To me, storytelling is, my audience are smart. How can I help them connect the dots?
I want them to feel a certain way.
Yeah.
That's the want that we want out of it.
Yeah. And I think people are sick and tired of, I think people have gotten used to consumable. So it becomes like, all right, well, that's the demand. Like one of the biggest things that we're talking about is like, well, the demand for vertical content is very, very high. What do we do? And it's like, just because the culture says something, and we're not trying to be dinosaurs, just because the culture says something, it doesn't mean that it is the way that it should be.
Yeah, because the way we do it is we'll ask the fundamental question, why is it vertical? And then we'll use that purely as a tool, not because it's a trend, not because somebody said, oh, it needs to be vertical. Yeah, but how does that serve the story? Ultimately, we don't have any opinion about what the story comes out is. Neither me nor Ray or anybody working on the team really has a say in what the story is. The story tells us, we're just tuned to listen to it. Whatever it tells us it needs to be, that's what we follow. And that's what we try to kind of guide people towards, whether it's our clients or people who work with us or our community.
And I think, I'm pretty sure people over here are wondering what we do.
Yeah, that's a good question.
When people ask us what we do, our response is we help organizations that do good, that want to nudge change through human-centric story films that hit right in the feels. And so when people ask us what is it that we do, we say we make human-centric films. And so the kind of storytelling that we do essentially is storytelling is a buzzword, content is king. Our focus is how can we humanize a brand? How can we humanize a concept? How can we humanize? So it is very human-centered. And when I say human-centered, it is not just that there are people in films. It's not just that there are people telling their stories. It's the way that we are human-centered with our process, with the way that we talk to clients. It's the way that we work as creatives, in how we include diverse thoughts so that we can get ideas. It's us putting our pulse on the streets and getting a sense of what insights do we have that's going on in the culture. Human-centered, it doesn't mean that you're filming someone and they're smiling into the camera and it's just human. Human-centric is a mindset where we think about the human element.
So, in essence, our approach is how we make human-centric films. We don't look at the end result and work backwards. We make it part of our culture, our interpersonal culture, the way we deal with the rest of the teams, the way we deal with clients, the way we deal with even the freelancers and the talent that we work with. It's not a formula, but it's a mindset, like Ray said. And the moment we take that mindset in every step that we take, we trust the process. And the process usually leads us to a film that touches people, that makes people go, huh, I felt something here.
And to add to that, the thing about the main thing that is about being a human is that humans change. Humans evolve. Humans are messy. And so when you have a creative that is so rigid, this is what we're doing, this is the shot list, this is what's going to happen, this is on this day we're going to film it this way, this is what we're going to say. That's why in our creative we never have a shot list. We never have a script.
Shout out to our producers and our ADs who hate our guts for that.
They're over there.
Our Miro board is literally just
what are we doing, guys?
A wall of chaos.
Yeah.
But we build the essentials and then we let the magic happen. She's our producer.
Well, because a human is evolutionary. So for us, the human is alive. The creativity is a living organism. So the people that are involved, the situations, the locations, the actors, the cast, the concept. And we always have this saying, we make 3 kinds of films with one project. The first film is in the concept. The second film is while we're shooting it. The third film, and it's different, is when we edit it. And so I found that the difference between storytelling and concept, especially human-centric storytelling, is that there's a lot of rigidness in the way that we do life and the way that we do our calendars and the way that we expect, thanks to capitalism, everything has to be rigid, everything has to be hierarchical. But just like the human, the creative is an evolutionary process. So in a lot of ways the clients that we work with, they understand it's an evolutionary process. We align from the beginning. Have you ever, worked on a video and then suddenly gets rejected? Or, there's a concept and it's like the client is just shocked that it's different. A lot of times we also, in the human-centric process, we work with the client to be like, this is what's going on, this is what's evolving, this is what's changing. And so we're together. There is no client, supplier.
They become part of the process, part of the team. Yeah. That way, when it evolves into something in the end, they had a say in that process. And when it comes out in the end, it's something that they feel they have a part in, they have a stake in. And ultimately, it becomes the gap between the content that people just scroll through and the content that people stop at. In the way we recognize these kinds of authentic films is you can feel the different layers in every single frame, in every single note. You can feel that this thing may have an icing, but you can feel the different layers in it. Once you start to scroll through content, Yep, seen it. Oh, trend. Yep, trend. There's even a thing where you click on this music and it shows you everything that's edited to the same music, and it's millions of videos. Unfortunately, that is a landscape that we're living with. It has its place, it has its uses. Some people call it brain rot, some people use it to disconnect, but that's exactly it. Ultimately, it's what you do with it. So when we get to coming in and starting to talk with our partners to make a film, the first thing we do is we look at ourselves. To make a film that people feel is authentic, you have to be authentic in yourself when you're approaching this film. One of the films that we started from the very beginning, it was about a topic we never heard of, we don't know anything about, and the very first kind of rule that we put was we have to go, before we start filming, before scouting, go and experience these things ourselves as human beings. How does the lady lay the sheep down? How does she calm her down to cut the wool? How does she take it? What does that texture feel like? What does that air smell like? And only once we experience that can we take that into our craft, into our storytelling.
And I think authenticity, if we were to ask what does authenticity mean, because I mean, I sat with a client once and they were like, we want to make this authentic film. And they're like, we have these photos, and then they show us these photos, and it's our work, and they didn't know it was ours. And so the buzzword authenticity, it's become like this trend of like, oh, we want it authentic. Like, what do you think authenticity means? Is it like the way of filming? Is it because it's handheld? Is it because what do you think is authenticity? Because authenticity is almost like you cannot replicate authenticity, because authenticity in the creative and in the film comes from an honesty or a truth within the self, and each one of us are unique from the other. You cannot mimic authenticity. And so that's one of the big reasons why, like, I don't care if people copy us. I don't care if there's a trend or like it starts and it keeps going. And it's like, that's great. And I think authenticity is tied with the human centric storytelling. What is it that makes a human?
So this is kind of the core of what we look for, not just in ourselves, but we take that as a well, I don't want to say a template, but we take that as a driver in what we look for in people. Any human being, every story that was ever told has already been told. There are no new stories. The only way a story is authentic is if your uniqueness, yourself, your authenticity is what drove you to tell that story. So, as a human being, you go through a cycle. You have dreams and ambitions. You pursue these dreams and ambitions, and you bump up against obstacles. That's where you get your pain. You either overcome these challenges or you don't. Or you change your dreams, whatever they are. And that's what brings you to your redemption. That cycle, that is colloquially known as the hero's journey, but that is every single person living and has ever lived. This is the cycle that they go through. If you recognize that in yourself,
You'll recognize it in others.
then you start to see yourself in others. So if we're talking to our camera guy, if we're talking about Tony, our amazing cafeteria guy who comes with us on shoots, who after left the company, we went after him. Um, this is how you train yourself to recognize this pattern in people.
Yeah. And I think what we don't realize in our culture, it's not that we don't have a story or like we don't do storytelling. I think we have a lack of awareness of what our big dreams are, or being honest with it, what our pain is, and what have we overcome to be here. And then the minute we become aware of that, we become aware of it in others. And that's why, and then when you meet 10 people, when you meet 10 clients using this mapping, everything is unique. And you're not coming in as a supplier anymore and be like, tell me what to execute. It becomes like, I see something in this project and I see what you see in this project. I see your goals and I see my goals in this as well. So I feel like in a lot of ways and this is good, is that we don't usually let the status quo win. I feel like in a lot of ways we don't wait for culture to tell us what to do. We start, even in our writing and even in our brainstorming and even the way that we talk, whenever we get a project, there's always a thing that we do. We get the project and it's like, oh dear, it's going to be really stressful. There's a really terrible deadline on this one. And so we count to 3 together with our team, where we respond whether we say yes or no to this project by rooting down and getting grounded into your body. And then we'll answer if we're going to take this project or not. So we don't force our team. We don't force ourselves to say yes to projects. This
By
is
the
our
way,
way of being embodied.
Not once have we not all agreed. Every single time.
So it's like 3, 2, 1, no.
No.
All right, and it's a no. And then they come back, why?
But that's the thing. We have to start with ourselves rather than wait for the culture to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
If we're authentic to ourselves, then we know what we are capable of. We know what we can do. We know what we're curious about. And if that is working with the person that wants to partner with us, then we're the partner for them. If not, then it's obviously not the same desires that everybody wants. So if we start with yourself, and then, how do we put it? Oh,
Well, I was going to say that we start with ourselves, but I think if there was anything about what we feel human-centric storytelling is, there isn't a formula. It really starts with you. It starts with your authenticity. The rest and how it goes will follow.
now don't be fooled. This is a very messy process, and it's full of chaos,
It's not for everyone.
and it's full of contradictions,
A lot of therapy.
and we'll disagree a lot.
2 therapists.
But in the end, because we both...
Twice a week.
Is it twice? Oh, dear.
At this point, it's twice a week.
Okay, you need to take a break. At the end, because it's an unspoken rule that we care about what the story is. So even if we do disagree, even if we do agree, but end up finding that both what we're saying is wrong, we'll easily just, it's gone. It's a throwaway at that point. So yes, we start with ourselves, but you have to be truly yourself, even if that means it's the unpopular opinion.
And I feel like the easiest thing, and this is actually also hard, it's not that easy. And I think we kind of practice this together. Each one of you have had the chance to practice really literally the first thing that we do when it comes to meeting clients, working on the project, talking to the team, creating the development, or even editing. And it is literally listen first. I think in a lot of ways, creatives come in with an assumption of what needs to be done. What we try to do is we put things aside and allowing what is the story that needs to be told. And so we come in without assumptions. We come in to listen first. And when we listen first, we get an understanding of what their brand is like. We do this in the creative. We do this in the editing. We do this in the process. And we do this in our projects. One of the works that we've done in the past is the year of 50th film that was released in 2021, with the iconic Salim and the VR shots. This was one of the first films that was during COVID, and we were trying to announce the year of 50th or celebrate the year of 50th. And we we tackled it not like it wasn't like working with the client and like this is what we want to do. It was like what needs to be done. That was the process. It wasn't like we have a brief, here it is. Like it's the brief is like this is the basic idea, but there was a lot of listening. And I'll tell you this, I don't remember if I told you this. I had no ideas for 2 weeks. It was like, oh crap, the deadline is coming, and it's like there's no ideas. I don't want to be cheesy. I don't want to do anything ridiculous. And then at 3 a.m., during like the dark soul of the night, the idea came, got up, and wrote it down. And one of the things that I did in those 2 weeks, I remembered an analogy of someone that shared is that creativity or creating something is a bit like horse racing. You can't force a horse to race. The horse is full of nervous systems, very intricate, very complex, very moody. You never know what it's going to do, but you give it the chance, you whisper, you nurture, you allow it its time. It's like, it's okay. We don't have to get to the race yet. We'll take your time. Whenever you're ready, we'll go. And that was the problem. I even told the clients, like, my horse is not ready.
So the moral of that is, if you have somebody who's pressuring you for a deadline, just tell them, I am working, it's just not ready yet. Yeah. And if they don't understand that, then maybe you should start having a different conversation.
And in all ways, we tell this to the client. A lot of times, like, we work with them and be like, you know what, give us a couple of days, let's see how it lands and see if a seed grows. And every single time we allow time and not force what story needs to be told, it literally just happens. It's like every time it feels like a surprise, and it happens every single time. And so this was the year 50th, and one of the things that we did in this is that there has never been a national video that has included everyone in the UAE.
Everyone.
To show that they have been part of the community. They have been part of building this. And one of the clips in there had labor workers. The voiceover in there had a female. We never had a female voiceover that was in there that represented the country. For those that haven't seen it, I was hoping to play it in the beginning, but we don't have to play it. Play it?
No. Oh, you guys want to see it?
Oh, we still got a couple more slides.
Okay.
Before the thing. Let's play it.
تشوفكم تجرون بيدينكم من لا شيء. البذور اللي زرعتوها، الثمار اللي جنيتوها. أشوفكم وانتم توحدون الناس، وتجمعون الكل، الصغير الكبير. كل المخاطر اللي خذتوها، ألهمت كل الناس اللي حولكم. شفتكم أنجزتوا؟ يمكن المستقبل مو واضح الحين، لكن أنا بخبركم شيء، بوجودكم المستقبل بخير. وهذا وقتكم أنتم، وقتكم تتأملون في الماضي، وتخططون لمستقبلكم، وتحققون أهدافكم، وتداومون على بعض، لأن هذه بلادكم كلكم. تمسكوا في ذكرياتكم وورثوها حق عيالكم وعيال عيالكم. وصدقوا ما في حد في هالدنيا يتخيل جمال هذه الذكريات. وأنا أنتظركم بفارغ الصبر لأجل تشوفون هالشي بنفسكم. بوجودكم كلكم تنبض في الحياة. مع تحياتي بلادكم 2071.
It was personal.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Writing that was personal. I felt like that was my truth. That's what I wanted to say to everybody. This is what I was hoping to see come out.
Did you feel that because this is something that you were personally feeling, there would be a resonance out there for it? Or did you feel like this was your isolated thoughts?
It was, I mean, it was like, again, the practice of listening. I'm aware of what people are talking about. I'm aware of what's going on in our culture. I'm aware of what people are feeling. As an empath, it's not an assumption. It's like, I thought I was thinking about this alone. And it felt like if I could have the voice or like the pen to say anything to everyone, what would I say? It's something that I've always believed for decades. And luckily, um, it was exactly what needed to be said. So it was also a matter of timing because we were just coming out of COVID and everyone was just down. I felt like if I could write a love letter like a mother to, and it's like mother, country, future, and all that came at 3 a.m. Uh, uh, and it was just the process that was trusted.
So if we start going through all the different kind of films that we've made, you won't find a template. You won't find a single thing that kind of connects them because each one is completely singular and completely unique. There is a process that we take. We trust the process. And unfortunately, we found that a lot of people are trying really hard to forego the process. The creative process is chaotic, it's beautiful, it's messy, it's paint all over the wall, it's getting your hands cut, it's scraping your knee trying to climb a mountain. It's messy. But now you have an AI app to write for you, you have an AI app to draw for you. People are trying to forego the creative process. And once you start doing that, what comes out, I guarantee you, will be a copy of a trend, of a template. I hope that. Do we want to do this one? Okay.
You want to talk to us about our recent documentary series, The Way of Our Ancestors?
Okay.
How did it come about?
So, we were asked to come in to meet the client. We went in and met the client. The client had a very vague idea. We have a rich tapestry of cultural practices here in the UAE that are all born out of sustainability for survival, sustainability for society, and sustainability for economy. And this has been here for decades and decades before the word sustainability was even a thing. So the idea was, we have these practices, we want to document them. And that was it. And then they threw us in the deep end. So what did we do?
We came up with a line because we had no idea how this project is going to move forward. What are we going to find? Because there's so much unknown, there's so much undocumented stuff. There's so many people saying, oh, this is the right thing, this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. And it just became, we had a mantra for this project, was one exploration at a time. It's like, today, this is what I know. Tomorrow, I'll know what I know. But just today, all I know is that I need to meet that person. And then we go to their majlis, we sit down and have coffee, and he tells us about this. And then after we get this, we get to that, we get to that, and we get to that. Thankfully, we have a client that understands our creative process. But out of this, even the style, it's like, how are we going to shoot this? How are we going to film this? That came out of this mantra, one exploration at a time. So this is kind of like under the storytelling umbrella.
So it became about how our curiosity, the stories that we're finding, our experiences as filmmakers, but instead of having the cameras on us, we just turned them on the people the other way around.
It's stuff that I want to know.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm pretty sure other people want to know it, but like, I'm very curious.
So if you watch these films and you literally pull the camera back a little bit, it would be a documentary about us trying to find out what these cultural practices are. but we just cut ourselves out, and that's what came out. So that's a little bit about how we recognize authentic storytelling, whether it's in an end result or the process that we go through it. When we were putting together the manifesto for This Is Good, we asked ourselves, what is our mission? What is the most important thing for us? We both came from completely different genesises.
Genesis?
Genesis?
Genesu?
Je ne sais pas. We came from different origins on that part, but our journeys led us to the same want, which was we want to tell good stories. We want to show that these stories exist out there. We want people to be able to make, appreciate, and commission.
And have authentic connections.
And have, through all that, have these authentic connections. The story is not the goal. The connection that people make is the goal. So we looked at it from a holistic perspective. How do we achieve something like this? There's three main ways we have to do it, and we can't do just two of them. It has to be all around. So first we have to look at the people who are commissioning these films. We have to educate them. We have to walk through the process with them. We have to be their translators. We have to understand what they want, maybe show them that what they want is not really what they want. Find the actual truth of what they want. So that became our consulting arm. It might be something that we don't produce, but it's a learning experience for the industry. That was the first pillar. Second pillar is our production arm. Is we take the same principles that we do with our partners, that we do between us, and we apply that to our films. On our set, there's no hierarchy of position. There's a hierarchy, because you can't have a boat with no captain, but it is hierarchy agnostic in communication. Everyone and anyone with an idea, bring it up. Everybody has the authority to challenge anybody else in whatever they're doing. With respect, obviously, but ultimately it's about what that final product needs.
But when we're producing something, we're creating something, we always have a creative strategy as the foundation of what we create. So number two is crafting films powered by strategy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So it all, like we could spend literally 3 months preparing for a film just to understand what it needs and 3 days to film it. That was the second pillar. Now, as artists, and this came from a selfish thing, and I'll let Ray talk a bit more about it, was we were insistent that we have our community pillar. We struggle to find like-minded people. As an artist, your brain is where you live. It's where all the shitty ideas come and go. It's all the success that you celebrate alone come and go. But without a community, you're just in a silo. So it was important for us to create the community.
I think because of our mission in trying to create authentic connections, we didn't want to do it just from a client side. We didn't want to just do it from a filmmaking side. We also felt like, what if everyone tapped into their own authentic voice and connected into their own authenticity and with others? Because we live in a loneliness pandemic where we're ruminating in ideas and thoughts and fears. And I think even though the world has connected us so much on our phones, are we really connected authentically? And so Creative Circle came out of a pain, really out of selfish reasons, of just like, I'm feeling like I'm really alone and I'm ruminating in my thoughts and I have nowhere to go. I wonder if other people are feeling the same. And so Creative Circle started 2 years ago and it happens in this room on a monthly basis. So we started Creative Circle out of a deep desire to have people connect with themselves, to be seen and to be known.
And yeah, this is a shameless plug. This is, we usually when we meet up, if it's for work or otherwise, we end up having all these deep conversations. So one day we were thinking, What if we just put cameras on us and talk? It doesn't need to be a setup, it doesn't need to be a studio. Let's just see what comes out of it. Let's just see what might emerge. This was a series that Ray did, I think it was during the pandemic. It was during the pandemic, and it was an e-calendar invite where you would book half an hour and show up with a stranger on Zoom.
And I'll pick a card from the card deck that we just picked earlier, and just here's a question that's waiting for you today, and let's see what happens out of it. And so
we started that podcast, and with everything that we just talked about, I know it's a lot of information, but I'm hoping that it resonated somehow with all of you. With that, let's try it again. Find another person that you don't know, go up to them.
And using all the stuff that we talked about whatever that you felt that resonated with you, that connected with you, about the dream, the pain, and the overcoming, let's see how round 2 does for you. And Bashir is going to pick a random card. It's at random.
Is the top one.
It's super random.
What needs to die right now for growth to happen?
We're not here surface. We're going right in.
Somebody you haven't spoken to before.
No introductions. على طول.
What needs to die right now so growth can happen?
For you.
For you.
So 5 minutes, listen without interruption, and then the next person gets 5 minutes. We're good. Huh? Insights. Insights. The top card? Hey, Janine, could you take like people talking, like videos of people talking? Nice. Let's go straight to insights. Give them mics, and then just go like, all right, let's, yeah, and then we close it. Yeah, closure and then Q&A. Yeah. Yeah. This is your sign for halfway. It's okay, keep going. We'll switch in 2 minutes. camera, by the way. You're on stage. Okay? All right, time to switch. Halfway point. One more minute. All right, you can start wrapping up whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll invite everybody to take their seats. And now, a bit of fun for myself and Ray. If we can pass the mics out to the audience, please. We would love to hear some insight from you guys. The difference you felt from asking the first question to asking the second question. And what kind of mindset shift you may or may not have had. Or an insight that you got from talking to a stranger. Any of these insights we'd love to hear. Because now we're curious. It feels like you guys are having fun and we're just sitting here.
We'll give you a mic. There's a mic roaming around if you want to raise your hands and get a mic. We're just curious to know if there's anything different over there.
Okay, we have one person in the back, the young lady.
What have you noticed? Any surprising insights?
Thank you. Okay, hello, first of all, thank you so much for this inspiring conversation. For me, especially like for this last question, because I had my group here, for me, I noticed that being vulnerable is really essential because I've never met these people, but I'm going to talk about a lot of deep things within my art practice, within my own thoughts and self-doubts and all of that. So it really takes courage to be open to these people and really listen to them, but also speak about your own maybe weak points that you have currently.
Was being vulnerable as scary as you thought it was?
I don't think it's scary, but it's just, I don't know, like, because on the outside, I feel like I want to show my best self. I want to show people that I got it all. But talking about these things sometimes make me think twice.
Yeah.
Like, even now, I don't know what's the answer, but it really got me into thinking.
Thank you for sharing.
Something to think about. Thank you for sharing.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Anyone else share any insight, what you've learned over there?
For me, it was like
There's
more
your
of
mic.
like the okay, a mic. Sorry, but I'm good. Thank you. Okay, I think going back to different questions that we kind of had during this night, um, it kind of reminded me of how connected we are in different ways. Even though we all have different stories, different interests, different backgrounds, but there's a connection that goes within. And if you and I feel like the more I listen or the more I learn about the person in front of me, the more I feel the connection. Even though we just met, that does not mean we're having the deepest connection right there. No, it's I think the human connection part of it, and it's just like I'm a human. I'm also listening to another human being, and what is in between that. And then it's interesting because I feel like there are some stories that are similar to mine that I'm like, oh my God, even though maybe I had that story like years before, but they're going through the same similar story now, but with different experiences, different feelings, makes it even more interesting to learn about the person in front of me and also finding that connection, um, a valued one that I really wanna. I don't know, want to hear about it more and see where it goes. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank
That
you
was
so
so
much for
good.
sharing.
Yeah.
You've heard about Creative Circle, right? Just kidding. All right. I would love to know from this side any insights, anything surprising, anything you've learned.
All right. Even if you haven't learned anything, at least we entertained you for a bit. Okay. So the important thing about any kind of interaction and human connection that you make, or being vulnerable and seeing if you're afraid of it or not, is learning from it. If you go through life like a bottle cap in a stream, just going with the flow, things are going to happen to you. You might notice them, they might not. But unless you stop and you learn and you start to be intentional, that's the only time that you can start to be authentic. This kind of sums up our process. Very first thing we do is we listen. We go in, no judgment. We don't know. Even if we think we know, we do not know. We listen. And then we relate. You relate, you start to look for yourself in those people. You may not have gone through the same experience as they have, but you know what pain is. You know what joy is. You start to look for that you've had in them. And then, now that you have had the thesis, you look for your antithesis. You question it. Is this the whole story? Is this the actual story? Is this just one side of the story? Ask other people. And then you debate. This is one of the most important things. When you debate, you bring all the ideas on the table. And this is where the beautiful chaos happens. This is when you start to see the connections between the things. Once that happens, you let it simmer, put some fertilizer on it, wait a week or two, and then something grows or it doesn't. And then and only then do you go out and create.
I think if there's one thing that I would love us to walk out of this room with, is that we're kind of living in weird times. And I feel that the world needs a lot more authentic connection. What is it that's in your hands, whatever medium it is that you're doing, writing, photography, creative, not creative,
Cooking.
cooking. What is it that you can do this week, if anything, whether it's through the creative or through that you can bring in an authentic connection with someone by acknowledging your authenticity and acknowledging their authenticity. Because I feel like if every single person, if we could teach every single person to be authentic and to tap into their voice and to tell authentic stories, the dream is then we see the world communicating this together, and it makes people going around and go, wow, this is good. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone.
I have one more thing to say. First of all, thank you so much. This was amazing. I would like to also invite you guys to go out to the alley. We have two food residents that would love if you guys can check out. So we have Smoke and Barrel, who does these amazing brisket tacos.
They're really
If
good, you
anyone's
guys.
hungry, he is
Really
outside.
good.
He's been smoking the meat. And there's also Tuck Shop if anyone wants like a snack or a hot chocolate or a coffee if you're brave. So yes, thank you once again for attending.
Thank you, everyone.